Hi everybody, I hope you're doing well. Let's wait a little bit for people to join us and get somewhat of an audience. So we'll wait one more minute before we start.
يوسف شوف معاه واش الكادر هو داك
راك مغطي هذا.
ماشي شوف
دابا مزيان.
صافي مزيان.
So I think we waited long enough. We have an audience of 8 people, I think. Yeah, let's start. Hello everybody, I hope you are doing well, you are doing fine. And this project is a collaboration between me, Yusuf Khatamiri. It's also a collaboration of Tara Hiba, Usama Shurdi, and Al-Qaisi Oman, and finally, Maryam Rahim. We are happy to present to you this webinar, and I hope you'll enjoy your stay. So, happy Ramadan for our Muslim viewers, and my best wishes goes to you and your family. So today, what are we going to talk about? Today, we're going to look at learning to say no in the workplace. And it's me 1 second, please. There you go. Now you can only see me. All right. So, what are we talking about? What do you mean by that? So we'd like to start this holy month by talking about a social phenomenon known as setting boundaries. And what better example to give than the workplace, which is also an example of a social environment. So what do I mean by that? It may seem like very controversial and it's not clear what do you mean by that. Basically, when you apply for a job, whether it's a white collar job like working in the office, or a blue collar job like working in a factory of some sort, you are expected to do your work. Otherwise, why are you there in the first place? You won't just come up. Your boss won't just come up to you and you will tell them, "No, I don't want to do the work you just gave me." You are there for a reason. You are there for a purpose. You should earn your paycheck that you get. So you do your work, you get a paycheck. Seems like a fair trade, seems like a very normal. However, it becomes abusive when your employer or your coworkers gives you work that you are not supposed to do and that is never mentioned in your contract. So I want you to all, if you're going to learn something from today's webinar, is do not be a people's pleaser. And today, for the tables of contents, we're going to see why is it important to say no, why people can't say no, how it is harmful, and how to set your boundaries, and finally, what are the benefits of saying no. And now I will give the floor to my colleague Hiba, and for reference, we'll use this table of contents as a map to show in which chapter we are in our presentation, as well as summarizing the previous points for those who just join us or just as a refresher. So now my colleague Hiba here, she will talk about why can't people say no and the importance of it. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Yusuf. Hello, everybody. I hope you had a really great day and a really good first day of Ramadan. So, Ramadan Kareem to all of my Muslims out there. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Taila Hiba. I am a 19-year-old sophomore at Akhawan University who's majoring in international studies as well as minoring in psychology. So, for today's topic, it's something that is really interesting to me and to literally everybody else because you can say that it touches us really deeply and is kind of personal to a bunch of us. So let me tackle it in a certain way. So people, or basically employees, do struggle with saying the word no. So basically rejecting another person, whether it is in a workplace, outside of the workplace, in like our daily lives, sometimes it is hard for some people to be able to say no. So this is maybe due to some like a combination of social, professional, and psychological factors. So with me, we are going to tackle the reasons why people cannot say no. So the first one is fear of repercussions and conflicts. So basically, employees they worry so much about upsetting their boss or their senior, like someone basically who's on an upper level than they are in the workplace, and they are really kind of like scared, you could say, when it comes to receiving a poor performance review or even losing their job. Yeah, it can sometimes reach that point. People do have sometimes really bad anxiety and they tend to overthink it a little bit too much. So they believe that not being able to say no when it comes to like doing tasks that are way outside of your like job criteria can lead you to losing your job. And saying no may be perceived as a lack of commitment or unwillingness to be a team player. So let me give you an example. Let me set you in like a hypothetical situation. So, for example, let's say you are a new new member, new employee in a certain company. a newbie. Basically, that's what people can call you. And for example, your senior, I don't know, your manager or something along those lines, someone along those lines, they tell you, for example, to like print some copies or make them coffee, or maybe let's make it a little bit more realistic, do their job for them. All right. So that's basically out of your job criteria. You did not sign up for that. And however, people do feel that they cannot say no. They cannot reject the other person for the life of them. Why? Because they feel like that's their responsibility. Signing up for that job meant doing whatever the other, like your senior, wants you to do, which is so not the case. The second reason is the desire to please, overcommitment and perfectionism. So this basically backs up the previous argument, the previous reason. It is the fact that people, they are scared of losing their job, or like losing certain opportunities that they feel like they will gain when it comes to saying yes to the other person. The third reason is the workplace culture and expectations. So some workplaces, they promote or live in what we call a yes culture, where declining tasks is seen as unacceptable, completely unacceptable. So let me rephrase what a yes culture is. It's basically in the name. Yes culture. It's like a culture where it's unethical and like bizarre and weird to say no. So you have to say yes to anything that is asked for you to do. So in highly competitive environments, employees may feel pressured to always take on more to stand out, because we all know that like the job markets is nowadays like really and like heavily competitive. There are people with like really big and important diplomas like PhDs and masters and like really interesting fields, and they cannot find a job. Why? Because there are other people who can get that job as well. So once you secure or guarantee like that job title, you feel like you have to do more than you need to in order to like keep it to yourself and not lose it. The fourth point is the desire for career advancements. So the desire for career advancement also goes back onto back the previous reason argument, and it's the fact that people, when they get that job, we're not greedy. Okay, this is basic human nature. We all want to do better. We all want to reach like a certain level that is just better than where you were. For example, like a newbie or an intern is not the same as a manager, it's not the same as a CEO, and it goes on to that. So employees, they fear that saying no will limit their opportunities for promotions, raises, or professional growth. And they also want to demonstrate that dedication and strong work ethic to superiors. And last but not least is fear of missing out, FOMO. So this term, fear of missing out, is something that I really relate to, whether it's when it comes to like career related to topics or in real life. So for example, I have big fear of missing out when it comes to my friends hanging out together, and I do have a lot of things to do. I'm busy. I have a midterm. I have assignments that are due that night, and I need to do them. But I am scared. I fear missing out on the memories and the good times that I'm going to be spending with my friends. And it's the same for like employees. They worry that declining opportunities will make them miss important projects or learning experiences. So they fear being left out of like key decision making processes. And yeah, that's all. These were the reasons why people cannot say no.
Thank you very much, Hiba, for your inputs.
You're
It
welcome.
was very insightful. And I noticed that our view counts came from 8 and halved to 4 viewers, and now it's peaked to 12. So I'm very happy that people are listening to us. Because half of our success is also the viewer count, and also it's also your effort if this webinar is successful. So for those who just joined us, we'd like to summarize the previous points. So just like Hiba said, the reason why people can't say no or decline any request is because of low self-esteem. Low self-esteem is a product of trying to please others and having this fear of being frowned upon if you assert yourself or refuse a request from someone, as well as the peer pressure, which is the fear of getting left out of a group, feeling isolated. Because as humans, we evolved as a civilization, but our mind is still primitive. It's still the same way as the era of cavemen. So we always want to fit in. We are ready to change our own identity to fit into people, and it's very hard to leave that comfort zone or that conformity. So thank you very much. Moving on, I would like to talk about how refusing requests from others is harmful, and I will leave the floor to my colleague Mariam. And there you go. Say what you have to say.
Thank you so much. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining me. My name is Mariam Rahmani, and today we're going to explore a topic that many of us can relate to. A topic that many of us can relate to, often that lurks in the shadows of our well-intentioned desires, the hidden dangers of people-pleasing. Okay, now let's be honest, most of us want to be liked. We want to be seen as helpful and supportive, but when the desire becomes an all-consuming force, it can start to chip away our own well-being. Now imagine a vibrant garden. It's filled with lush greenery, vibrant flowers, and a delicate balance of life. Now imagine that someone constantly trying to force the flowers to bloom in a specific way, to grow taller or to change the colors, whatever. They're trying to make the garden perfect, but doing so, they're disrupting its natural beauty and causing stress. That's what people pleasing can do to us. It's like trying to force ourselves into a mold that doesn't fit, sacrificing our authentic selves in a pursuit of external validation. Now let's deepen into the specific ways people pleasing can harm us. Losing your identity. It's like a slow erosion of your own values, passions, and even your sense of self. You might find yourself constantly adapting to what others want, losing sight of what truly makes us happy. It's like living in a world where you're constantly trying to please everyone, but you never get truly be yourself. The brewing storm of resentment. The constant effort to please others can build a lot of resentment. You might feel like you're giving more than what you're receiving, like constantly putting others' needs before your own. This can lead to bitterness, frustration, and a sense of being taken advantage of. Superficial connections. Relationships built on people-pleasing can feel shallow and hollow. You might find yourself constantly seeking approval rather than connecting authentically. It's like building a house on sand, and the foundations are easily eroded by the winds of insecurity and the tides of unmet needs. The toll of emotional exhaustion. The constant effort to keep everyone happy can be emotionally draining. You might feel burnout, stress, and unable to cope with everyday life. It's like carrying a heavy weight on your shoulders, a weight that constantly pulling you down. The struggles to say no. People pleasers often struggle to set boundaries. They might feel obligated to say yes to every request, even if it means overcommitting and feeling overwhelmed. It's like living in a world where you're constantly giving away your power, your time, and your energy. The silent suffering of suppressed emotions. You might find yourself suppressing your own feelings, believing you have no right to express them. This can lead to emotional distress, a lack of self-awareness, and a disconnect from your own inner world. It's like living in a prison where you already make it, and a prison built on the fear of disapproval and the desire of being liked. But wait, don't be worried or anything. There's a lot of hope. Breaking free from the cycle of people pleasing is possible. It's about recognizing your own worth, learning to prioritize your own needs, and setting healthy boundaries. It's about finding the courage to say no when necessary, to stand up for yourself, and to embrace your authentic self. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miriam, for your inputs. And I can see the viewer counts going up and down, up and down. Each peaked at 21. So to sum up the points that Miriam made, being a people's pleaser and trying to conform to others just to please them and to not be left out leads to some very harmful consequences. It chips away your well-being because you sacrifice your own identity to fit in. Our senses and own self-identity is constantly conforming to others. So it's easy to lose track of who you are and your own identity. There is always this sense of being oppressed and that's weight on your shoulder, which can eventually lead to burnout and stress. Thankfully, there is like an easy fix for that, is to simply know who you are, know your place in the world, know your values, and make sure your actions actually follows your values that you set for yourself. So again, thank you very much, Miriam, for your input. It's highly appreciated. And next up, we're going to check on how it's harmful. Excuse me. We're going to check how to set your boundaries and the different strategies to protect yourself from being a people's pleaser. So over here we have our friend and colleague Usama, which we didn't see at the beginning because he had his camera off, but now we can see him. And Usama, the floor is yours, and I will turn off the mic for now.
Okay, thank you very much, Yusuf. Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. Thank you very much for this opportunity to talk about this important topic. And I want to say welcome to the knowledgeable and wonderful webinar. First of all of us, first of all, I introduce myself again. I'm Usama Shurdi. I'm going to talk about the solutions. All of us will know the important rule of the solutions. Let's start with the first solution. Is learn to delay responses. Encourage individuals to avoid a given an immediate yes by saying, for example, let me think about it, get back to you. This gives them time to evaluate the request and respond when the confident no, if necessary. In this regard, I suggest an important book that talks about this solution is The Power Instinct by Kelly Gonigal. This book explores the science of self-control and willpower, offering practical strategies to strengthen decision-making and resist impulsive behaviors, including saying yes, saying yes when you mean no. We will move to the second important solution. Use the broken record technique. Teach individuals to calmly and repeatedly say no without feeling the need to over explain or justify their decisions. This technique helps reinforce boundaries without giving into pressure. Uh, in this context, I suggest the book When Say No, I Feel Guilty by Manuel Smith. Uh, this book is a classic guide to assertiveness, provides tools for setting boundaries, saying no, and overcoming guilt. And overcoming guilt associated with standing up for oneself. The third effective solution: prioritize and evaluate requests. Uh, Encourage people to assess requests based on their priorities and values. If a request doesn't align with their goals or well being, they should feel empowered to decline. In this regard, I suggest the book The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. This best-selling book outlines 7 habits for personal and professional effectiveness, emphasize the importance of prioritizing tasks and aligning actions with core values. Fourth solution: offer alternatives instead direction no. Suggest alternatives when saying no feel too harsh. For example, I I can't help with this right now, but I can assess next week. This softens the refusal while maintaining boundaries. For this solution, I suggest the book Boundaries by Henry Cloud and John Dawson. This book focuses on the importance of setting healthy boundaries in relationships, uh, work, and life, offering practical advice on how to say no without damaging connections. The last effective solution is developed self-awareness and self-worth. Help individuals understand why they struggle to say no. For example, fear of refusal, fear of rejection, uh, people pleasing tendencies, building self-worth through therapy or self-reflection. Or self-reflection can empower them to prioritize their needs. The book that talks about this solution is Daring Greatly by Brainy Brown. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Osama, for your input. And I can see that the viewer count dropped again to 9 people. I don't know what happened to them. I don't know what happened there. Maybe they went to sleep. I don't know. But it's okay. For the remaining 9 people, thank you for being here with us. And to summarize the points of my colleague Osama, one of the main strategies of setting boundaries is to just say no, like the plain word no, without justifying yourself. Because the more you try to justify yourself, the more that person will try to look for the reasons and eventually get into your personal space, get into your personal life, and eventually control you. You may think that setting boundaries by plainly saying no is very harsh. So that's why we suggest an alternative to make that rejection a little bit softer. So, for example, first, when you get a request from someone, you try to evaluate if that request is harmful or not. Then, if you make sure that that request is harsh or too difficult for you or too tedious for you, you will try to, for example, postpone that task and tell them, maybe you could do this next week, maybe tomorrow, maybe another time. Or you could suggest for that person to look for another person that is more qualified to it. That way, you successfully set your boundaries without hurting that other person's feeling, because maybe that person doesn't have bad intentions. And finally, we're going to talk about the advantages of setting boundaries and the benefits of it. And for this last chapter for tonight, I'm going to leave the floor for my colleague Omar. Or is talk.
Thank you very much, Yusuf. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody on the stream. I hope everybody's doing well and everybody had a wonderful first day of Ramadan. So, now I'm going to get in depth about the benefits, multiple types of benefits of saying no, no matter the environment. So, physical benefits, mental benefits, productivity benefits. So, let's start with the first point. Saying no prevents burnout and reduces stress. So, one of the biggest benefits of saying no is that it protects your mental and physical health. When you take on too much, you spread yourself thin and the quality of your work suffers. Worse, constant stress leads to burnout, which affects your productivity and well being. So, by setting boundaries and saying no when necessary, you ensure that you stay in control of your workload and maintain a healthy balance. The second point is it increases productivity and efficiency. So many people think that saying yes to everything makes them more valuable at work, but in reality, when you overcommit, you're more likely to deliver rushed or subpar results. So by saying no to tasks that don't align with your priorities, you free up time to focus on what truly matters. This allows you to perform better, complete work more efficiently, and to be seen as someone who delivers high quality results. Next on, we have the strengthening of the professional boundaries and confidence. So saying no isn't just about refusing work, it's about setting boundaries. When you respectfully decline certain requests, you communicate that your time and responsibilities are important, and this earns you respect from colleagues and supervisors. Additionally, saying no confidently helps you build self respect and assertiveness, making it much easier for you to stand your ground in difficult situations. The fourth point is it encourages better work relationships. So it might seem like saying no would damage relationships at work, but the opposite is often true. When you constantly say yes to everything, resentment can build up both towards yourself and others. You may start feeling frustrated at colleagues who rely on you too much or at managers who keep overloading you. However, when you establish clear boundaries, people learn to respect your time, which fosters healthier and more balanced professional relationships. The fifth and last point is saying no opens opportunities for growth. Surprisingly, saying no can actually help you advance in your career. When you say no to tasks that don't align with your goals, you create room for opportunities that truly benefit you. Instead of being stuck with a low priority work, you can focus on tasks that develop your skills, contribute to your career growth, and help you stand out in your role. So, as a conclusion, learning to say no in the workplace is not about being difficult. It's about being strategic. It helps you protect your energy, improve productivity, gain confidence, build better relationships, and create space for real growth. The next time you feel pressure to say yes, just take a moment to think: is this the best use of my time? Will this help me or hurt me in the long run? If the answer is no, then do not be afraid to say no. Thank you for listening to me.
All right, thank you very much for our last guest of today's webinar. Thank you very much, Omar, for your inputs. So we have seen why it's important to set boundaries, how it's harmful, and how the different strategies to combat being a people's pleaser. And finally, now we have the benefits of it. Why should we bother to set boundaries? So, to summarize the points of my colleague, Omar, is setting boundaries is very beneficial because you become more productive. It may sound very contradictory because when you refuse to do something, you do less work, you do less tasks, you are less productive. But in reality, it's the opposite of saying yes. Instead of always being like mentally and physically tired, well, you have a lot more energy to focus on more meaningful work than small, pointless tasks. That's on a benefits on a personal level. As for the social level, you learn more confidence, you are more sure of yourself, you have a better view of yourself, you have a higher value to yourself, you basically feel better in your skin instead of being constantly pressured to conform into a shape like square, triangle. No, you can take any shape or form you want. And your colleagues and employers will take notice of that and eventually respect you. They will know you as that person that stands their own ground and know their own business. Someone that doesn't let others step on their shoes. And eventually, you will be more productive and you will have more career opportunities because you are well known, because you are more popular as a reliable and confident person. So now we're going to move to the Q&A, but before that, I would like to share with you a small video with that I have here on YouTube. It's a video from Oprah, if you know her. She's a very famous celebrity on the American TV. She also has a word to say about this topic about setting boundaries. So give me a second, please, to share with you my screen. 1 second. There we go. And I'm going to shut up for now, and we're going to watch the video together.
I used to be one of those people who had the disease to please. I said yes many times when I knew I should have been saying no, and then I would be mad at myself for saying yes. You say yes, then you're mad when they come back again. Because when you say yes, when you really mean no, people follow the intention of the yes. Because why do you say yes? You say yes because you don't want the person to be upset with you. They're not. You don't want the person to be angry. You want the person to think you're nice. They do. And that is why they keep coming back. Nothing is showing up in your life that you didn't order there. If it's there because you needed to see it. So how do you set boundaries for yourself? I was having trouble setting boundaries for myself for even strangers. So what I learned is that the reason why people keep showing up is because my intention is to make them think that I'm such a nice person, that you can ask me for anything, you can get me to do anything, I'm going to say yes, I'm going to say yes. So many times you will have angst and worry about things, and you will put yourself in a state when the other person really isn't even thinking about you. So learning that I could specifically determine for myself what the boundaries were for me, what I wanted to do, give my money, give my time, give of my service to who I wanted to give it to when I did, that I get to make that decision. And just because you get 100 requests a week doesn't mean you have to try to fulfill all of that. Just because you have all of these demands on your time and on you doesn't mean that you have to say yes. You get to decide because you're the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. And understanding that really changed the meaning of my life, in that I was no longer driven by what other people wanted me to do, but took charge of my own destiny, making choices based upon what do I feel is the next right move for me.
Wow, that was a very inspirational video, and with that music. I hope you found it inspirational too. And now we'll come back to our Q&A, and let me display all of the members. Now, if you have any input, any question, any remarks, feel free to ask them. You will be part of our webinar, and we're happy to answer them. So I've been reading chat since the beginning, and I've noticed a lot of encouraging messages. Thank you very much for all of you. And also thank you very much for making it this far. At least we didn't do this work for nothing if no one is watching it. So we highly appreciate that. And I mean that on behalf of our team. So let's see some of the questions that we have here. So the first question is for Hiba. It says, are there any ways that people can work on their timidity and nervousness? Because I think it is not that easy to say yes. So what do you think about that, Hiba?
Okay, so personally speaking, there are a bunch of people like I know in like my daily life that struggle so much when it comes to being nervous or being timid and shy. Whether it's like whether we're talking about like giving a public presentation or just speaking up for themselves. And I believe that people can work on that part of their life by, for example, I don't know, trying to do some therapy about it because obviously, and I strongly believe that it comes from like childhood issues or something of the sort. So maybe it can lead to being nervous when you grow up or like unable to like stand up for yourself and, for example, saying no when it comes to doing a job that is not yours to do, basically.
Yeah, I agree with what you just said. And to add to it, I think shyness and nervousness is actually thoughts that you believe. Like, for example, if you subconsciously tell yourself that I am shy, eventually you will become shy. So the best thing you could do is to change those ideas about yourself and say, no, I am confident. No, I have my value. No, I have my place in this world. No, I should stand up for myself. Then you will become more confident and it will be apparent. For the next question, I'm looking for one. Oh, this one is for Miriam. Is it true that the inability to say no in the workplace will result from some sorts of childhood trauma or anything of the sort? So, what do you think about that?
Yes, I think it can sometimes be linked to childhood experiences. For example, like fear of rejection, it could be caused by the consequences of the possible a negative answer. Also, it could be like for the low self-esteem or needing to model themselves depending on the environment they are living. But also, it could be like for caused by the workplace culture or the societal expectations, because like not always all the people have that feeling of following what they said. So sometimes it's already implied on their job positions.
Yeah, it's true, especially that, as we said earlier, is that people are shy because of their beliefs, and those beliefs didn't come from nowhere. They actually came from some past events, probably traumatic events that people used to tell them, like, you can't do anything, you are worthless, uh, you will amount to nothing in your life. And eventually those statements will become beliefs and eventually a way of life. So for the next question, it's a question for me, and it says, don't you think that the same people may take advantage of the fact that it shouldn't say no in order to be arrogant? I mean, my opinion would be that people who seem to be arrogant are sometimes respected. So hear me out. Eventually, tell yourself that if you are someone who pleases everybody, who is kind to everybody, who does services for everybody, then that person will be liked. But often it's the opposite. That kind person is the one that gets sometimes abused or bullied, and that arrogant person is is supposedly the most respected person. But I would actually say that it's not actually arrogant, it's more of protecting yourself. You are being kind without letting someone step on your shoes. You are still being kind deep down. You will still help people, but at least you won't put your mental and physical health on the line. So next up, we're going to look at this is a question for everybody. So, can saying no contribute to better teamwork and collaboration? and how exactly? Who wants to say something about this? Anyone? So I guess I'll be the one answering this one. I think saying no or yes is very important, because, for instance, if we work as a team and I don't know, like a random task, like I tell you to repair the sink and you don't know how to repair that sink, and then the sink exploded and there is water everywhere and there is chaos, and then that becomes a problem. Of course, you're going to refuse something that you can't do. So it's very beneficial to refuse that work and actually accept that something that you are competent in order to perform better and leave that work to someone else that is competent in their own field. So saying no actually contributes to the productivity. And I would like to add one more question to leave you guys for tonight. And let's look. Oh, this one. This is again a general question for everyone. It may seem rebellious to say no, don't you think?
Okay,
So,
I'll take
yeah, go
the
ahead.
initiative on this one. I somehow do not agree with this question, because it is, for some people or for some individuals, they may label saying no as rebellious or arrogancy or anything of the sorts, because of the fact that they don't want you to say no. They always want you to be like, yes, I'll do this for you, I'll do this task for you and stuff. They like try to like manipulate you into thinking that saying no is like you being a rebel, which is so not the case. It's you like setting your boundaries and like actually standing up for yourself when it comes to you actually standing up for yourself. So I think it's not like totally not rebellious to be able to say no.
Yeah, so does anyone have another comment on this?
Well, I think it's especially the issue of the one who is taking it in a bad way. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we all are responsible of ourselves. So if we are not allowed to advocate ourselves, I mean, I think if you are getting offended by that thing, I think it's a problem of your own. Like you have to look for it. So yeah, I mean, I think it's something that we have to see it from the both sides.
Well, I think we almost reached the hour mark, and I think we talked enough for today. Once again, yes, the final slide. We reached the final slide, and thank you very much for listening. Thank you, especially for my team members, for participating in this. Your input was very helpful. It was very insightful, and we couldn't have done this if we weren't for each other. And we should give each other a tap on the back for that. And especially thank you very much, our dear viewers, our 10 viewers, current viewers, for listening to us and making it this far. We are happy that you are here. It means a lot. And have a good night. Have a good holy month of Ramadan. And see you around. Goodbye.